Hello students, in today's session we will study rheological behavior of fluid. Now what is rheological behavior or what does this rheological word means? So rheological or rheology is a science which deals with rheology is a science which deals with study of behavior of fluid. How the fluid behaves, what are the properties of fluid and how it behaves. On the basis of that, one science is developed. That science is called as a rheological. So basically we're gonna understand the behavior of fluid in this class. So coming with the ideal fluid, the very first fluid, basically there are many fluids in fluid mechanics, but here in your syllabus few of them enlisted and we're gonna study those fluid deeply. So first fluid is ideal fluid. In the ideal fluid you can see here I said it is inviscid. What does it mean? It means that fluid has no viscosity. Fluid has no viscosity. What do you mean by viscosity? Viscosity we already learned, we even solved the problems. Viscosity is resistance to flow. Resistance to flow, or mathematically we can say as it is a mu. It is a mu which can say it is a ratio of shear stress to the change in rate of shear strain, right? Mathematically we represent it as a mu is equals to tau divided by du by dy. This mu is called it as a coefficient of viscosity, coefficient of dynamic viscosity. And how the fluid shows deformation and what resistance offered by the fluid while going under a deformation is called as a, that terminology is called as viscosity. Understood what I am saying? When the fluid is deforming, it will offer some resistance, it will not easily deform. And what resistance is offered by the fluid, that ratio of what? The shear stress to the shear rate of shear strain, rate of change of shear strain is given by a coefficient called mu, which is coefficient of dynamic viscosity, or simply we can say viscosity is resistance to flow. It means that there are two layers of fluid. There is two layers of fluid and one fluid layer is moving above another, right? And when they are moving one above each, they shows or they experience some resistance to flow, that is called viscosity. Okay, but now ideal fluid does not have viscosity or no viscosity for the ideal fluid. Then incompressible, second one is the incompressible fluid. What does it mean? Whenever I say incompressible, it means that the shear stresses are zero. What I said, shear stresses are zero. Next is constant normal stress. What does this constant normal stress? Before going for constant normal stress, let's understand what does this no shear stress condition is. So see, as I said, mu is equals to, or Newton's law, which says that shear stress is directly proportional to rate of change of shear strain, which gives mathematical expression as tau is equals to mu into du by dy. If I am saying the shear stress is 0, viscosity is 0, if I am saying viscosity is 0. Okay, if the fluid has no viscosity, mu becomes 0. If we focus on this first case or first condition, if mu becomes 0, definitely a shear gradient is also become 0, right? Or rate of change of shear strain becomes 0. This ratio also becomes 0. What will be tau then? Tau equals to 0. Therefore it is said that the fluid in which shear stress is 0 is also called as ideal fluid, is also called as a ideal fluid. Now next is constant normal stress. What does constant normal stress is now? So see, stress is first type of stresses. If you look into the classification of stresses from the strength of material, you must have understand or you must have gone through this topic where you come across direct stresses or simply the stresses, we can say. So when does stress develop? Stress develops when there is a resistance offered by the material, right? There is a resistance offered by material on certain area. It means that force, internal resisting force per unit area. Okay. And now what how it related to fluid? Let's see that. In fluid, this is your fluid, this is a jar in which you have a fluid or you have water, and you have applied due to surface tension or if you apply a force on it, it will be evenly distributed. It will be evenly distributed on the surface of that water, on the surface of that water. Here it is evenly distributed. So what I have said, stresses on free surface remains constant. It means that if you have a jar, you have water inside it, whatever stresses develop on the surface are evenly distributed. You cannot say that at this point the stresses are more and somewhere in the middle the stresses are less. No, they are equally distributed. That's what an ideal fluid is. Okay, now if I want to give a graphical representation of ideal fluid, how we will give that? So see here, let's plot a graph between du by dy, which is equals to d theta by dt. Hereafter you always remember that du by dy is equals to d theta by dt. Okay. What is du by dy? It is a rate of change of velocity with respect to distance. So what will be a d theta by dt? It is rate of change of angle with respect to certain degree of or you can say if rate of change of angle with certain distance. Understood? So whenever we consider something in an angular term, or let's suppose velocity is not velocity is in angular term, in that case you need to understand that du by dy is equals to d theta by dt. You right now you keep this term aside. Only you have to do is understand, or you should learn or make a note of it on your mind, that d theta is equals to du by dy. Slowly right now I am not getting into deeper side, or I am not or I can say I will keep it aside. With time जैसे जैसे हम आगे जाते हैं, you will get to know what this d theta by dt and why I am saying like this. Okay, so why I equated it with du by dy. Right now you must clear with only term that du by dy. What is du by dy? It is a rate of change of velocity with respect to certain distance, okay, which is called as a velocity gradient as well. Okay, now on x-axis, on your x-axis you have du by dy. On y-axis you have tau. What is tau? Tau is a shear stress. If I try to plot my ideal fluid on this graphical graph, then ideal fluid will fall on this horizontal line only. Why it happens? Because shear stress is equals to 0. Shear stress is equals to 0, and this fluid is showing no resistance while deformation. When stress will develop, when there will be internal resisting force per unit area. But this fluid, which is ideal fluid, which has no viscosity and no shear stress, is showing no resistance while deformation. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? एक ऐसा फ्लूइड है जिसमें विदाउट रेजिस्टेंस डिफॉर्मेशन ऑकर होता है. Fluid in which without resistance, without viscosity, fluid deforms. Understood? That's the ideal fluid. Now you should understand that this ideal fluid does not exist. This is the imaginary fluid. This is the imaginary fluid. Understood? Now next is Newton fluid, Newtonian fluid. Before going for this fluid, I must remind you that we have learned in previous session Newton law of viscosity. That law is obeyed by some fluids. The fluid which obeys that law obeys the law of viscosity, Newton's law of viscosity. Though that fluids are called it as a Newtonian fluid. So what is the Newton law of viscosity? Newton law of viscosity says that shear stress is equals to, or shear stress is directly proportional to rate of change of shear stress, shear strength. Shear stress is directly proportional to what? Rate of change of shear strain. And if we remove the proportionality limit, then we need to add one constant, which is mu. Okay, that's what the Newton's law of viscosity. Now if we compare this mathematical expression of Newton's law of viscosity, we come to know that it matches with the inclined straight line. If I see the equation for inclined straight line, it is y is equals to mx plus c. Here this plus c is constant, which is 0. Plus c is a constant which is 0. Therefore we can't see it in our mathematical expression of Newton's law of viscosity. Rest I can explain. This y is equals to tau. This m goes for coefficient of dynamic viscosity and x goes for du by dy. So this du by dy is on x axis here, du by dy. This y or this tau is on y axis, Understood? And if we do so, we come to know that Newtonian fluid will follow a inclined straight line on this graph. You can see here the Newtonian fluid is showing us a linear behavior. First it is showing us a linear behavior. What linear behavior is? That shear strength is directly proportional to shear stress and slope will be constant for the Newtonian fluid. This line will showing us a slope is constant. Understood? Now coming to the next, where I am gonna discuss non-Newtonian fluid. Now simple, even the name of this fluid telling us that this fluid does not obey the law of Newton's law of viscosity, because it itself saying us that non-Newtonian fluid. Okay, then what will be the mathematical expression? Because I am saying that tau is not equals to mu du by dy. Then what will be the another expression or mathematical representation of it? So non-Newtonian fluid follows the power law. What they does? They follows the power law. You can understand this. It is simple. Tau is equals to m into du by dy raised to n. You can see here it's a power law. The only change here is that the stress is not proportional. The stress, whatever shear stress developed, is not proportional to rate of change of shear strength, and therefore the slight changes has made into the expressions where m says, or m is referred as a consistency index. Consistency index क्या होता है? एक फ्लूइड कितना गाढ़ा है, ये जिस इंडेक्स से रिप्रेजेंट करता है उसे बोलते हैं कंसिस्टेंसी इंडेक्स. ओके, कंसिस्टेंसी, यू होप understand the meaning of this consistency word. It tells us that how consistent something. Okay, so now we are using it regarding the fluid. So I will say that how that fluid is consistent or not consistent, that represented by M. Okay. Next is your N. N represents flow index. Now coming to the next statement, on the basis of flow index, it is further classified into two categories. What I am saying, non-Newtonian fluid on the basis of flow index are classified into two categories. Okay, first category is of diluent fluid and second one is of pseudoplastic fluid. Okay, so diluent fluid is the fluid in which this flow index is greater than 1, and pseudoplastic fluid in which the flow index is less than 1. Okay, now let's understand what does it mean to us. Let's understand what is diluent fluid and what is pseudoplastic fluid. Diluent fluid is a shear thickening fluid. What does happen when shear thickening takes place? After applying a shear stress, it means tau, the fluid become more consistent. It means that जैसे जैसे आप shear stress लगाना start करते हो, आपका fluid गाढ़ा बनता जाता है. It will get more consistent, more viscous. It will get more viscous. Understood? That's what that concept is called as a shear thickening fluid. That concept is called as a shear thickening fluid. Whereas in shear thinning fluid, after applying shear stress, the fluid become less consistent. Less consistent मतलब पतला होना शुरू हो जाता है वो. What happens when you apply a shear stress or when the fluid is deforming, the whatever resistance is offered is called as the shear stress, and while this shear stress is occurring, the fluid becomes less and less viscous. It becomes less consistent और वो पतला हो जाता है. Then we will call it as a pseudoplastic fluid where the flow index is less than 1 and the flow index in diluent fluid is greater than 1. So if we see the example for it, the diluent fluid, the example will be a starch suspension. If you have starch at your home, and if starch suspension if you are able to create, and if you try to stir it, if while doing stirring, what will happen? The starch suspension become thicker and thicker. Okay, viscosity keep on increasing, where the blood in which if the shear stress is applied, the viscosity decreases. Understood? These are the examples of diluent fluid and pseudoplastic fluid. Now its graphical representation. The fluid in which N is less, मतलब कम होता जाता है, कम होता जाता है, that is called pseudoplastic fluid, and graphically it is represented like this. A fluid in which viscosity or N, flow index, keeps on increasing, that fluid is called as a diluent fluid, represented by this curve. I hope you understood. Where similarly like before, the rate of change of shear strain is on x-axis and tau is on y-axis. Understood? Now next is your Bingham plastic and Herschel-Backley fluid. Herschel-Backley fluid. Now let's take an example of toothpaste. What happens with the toothpaste? I am referring toothpaste as a fluid. See, whenever you want to apply toothpaste on your brush, you have to apply some force on that tube from external. Externally, you have to apply some pressure from your fingers to the tube. Then and then only that fluid or that paste inside the toothpaste will come outside, right? Until and unless you don't apply the force or pressure from outside on that tube, the toothpaste doesn't comes outside. Even if you hold it inverted, if you hold it in your hand without its cap, still it doesn't flow outside, it doesn't comes outside. Then this toothpaste is a fluid. this toothpaste is a fluid, and why it is not behaving like a fluid, why it is giving a properties or showing a properties like fluid? Because it comes under Bingham plastic or Herschel-Backley fluid. What's the property of this fluid then? So here, in the fluid in which initial yield stress is need to apply so that fluid can flow, what happened? वो खुद अपनी weight पे, like every fluid flows under its own weight, right? But this fluid, this toothpaste is not flowing on its weight because it is a fluid which requires some initial yield stress. Okay, and then afterwards it will behave like a fluid. It will behave like a fluid. So it is again follow a power law where shear stress is equals to little changes. Tau y is added into this. What is tau y? Tau y is a yield stress. This is the initial yield stress that is mandatory. Until and unless you don't apply that yield stress, you will not come across a fluid behavior of that paste. Okay, plus m dy by du by dy raised to n, where m is consistency index and n is a flow index, like before. Now if I want to show graphically how it behaves, or graphically how I can represent it, so in Bingham plastic and Herschel-Backley, see, both are the different both are the categories of same pattern or same behavior, but there are little change. There is a little change. What that little change is, both required initial yield stress, to show the fluid properties or to get into fluid behavior. It requires initial yield stress, but once initial yield stress is applied, Bingham plastic fluid will follow a Newtonian law, will behave like a Newtonian fluid. What does it mean? It means that shear stress tau is directly proportional to du by dy. Newton's law is obeyed. But in Herschel's fluid, the Newton law does not obey. This fluid doesn't obey Newton's law, and it shows us different pattern that stress is not directly proportional to shear strain or rate of change of shear strain. Understood? Now how we will give a mathematical represent. Whatever I said, tau is equals to tau y plus m into du by dy raised to n is general representation of this category of fluids. But how specifically we will give a mathematical expression. So see here, if fluid behaves like Newtonian fluid, then m becomes mu, because it is behaving like a fluid where shear stress is directly proportional to rate of shear strain. Therefore m becomes mu. It means that if I write the equation, tau is equals to tau y plus m into du by dy raised to n. Okay, then m becomes mu. It means that tau is equals to tau y plus mu du by dy, and n becomes 1. So the representation of Bingham plastic is as like a Newtonian fluid, only adding with the yield stress, tau y plus mu du by dy raised to n. But in second type of fluid, Herschel's fluid, what happens? You have to carry the general term or general expression over here, that tau is equals to tau y, tau is equals to tau y plus m du by dy raised to n. Understood? Why we are doing like this? Because it does not obey Newtonian fluid properties, or it does not obey Newton's law of viscosity. Now I sum up all the graphical representation of fluids which we have gone through from last few minutes. Okay, so this is the ideal fluid. Ideal fluid is a fluid in which shear stress is equals to 0, mu is equals to 0. It falls on x axis of your graph. Then Newtonian fluid, which will be showing us a linear behavior. Shear stress tau is directly proportional to shear strain. On x axis we have shear strain du by dy. It is directly proportional and slope will remain constant. In diluent fluid, the fluid in which n is flow index will be greater than 1. It is a part of non-Newtonian fluid. It is a classification of what? The pseudo fluid and diluent fluid, both are the classification of non-Newtonian fluid in which the shear stress is not directly proportional to shear strain, and it will further classified on the basis of flow index into pseudoplastic and diluent fluid. Curves will be like this. Then last category we have seen was based upon the initial yield stress. The fluid in which they required initial yield stress and then they follows a Newton law of viscosity are called Bingham fluid, and the fluid in which they required initial yield stress and then they do not obey Newton's law of viscosity are called Harshas-Backley fluid. Understood? Then last topic of our session is thixotropic fluid and rheopatic fluid. Now I can add one concept over here. I want to add some small term over here which is apparent viscosity, or why we are doing this separate study for this fluid, because see, some fluids are dependent on time, some fluids behavior is dependent upon what? Time. Okay, so some fluids rheological behavior depends upon the time, and as time changes, the behavior of fluid changes, and the best example for it is the ink. If you see our pens or ink in your printer, the ink in our pen, if we do not use pen for longer time, like for 6-7 months, then ink in that pen will get dry out. What happened? Does we made any change in the property of ink? No, we haven't changed anything in the ink. But with time, the ink gets so viscous. Or viscosity of ink is increases with time, that it loses its fluid property. And it becomes viscous. It cannot flow. That's why pen cannot run and we cannot use that pen to write anything. Understood? So such a fluids in which the properties or rheological behavior depends on time are categorized into two different parts: thixotropic fluid and rheopatic fluid. Okay, the best example for rheopatic fluid in which the ink get viscous with time, that is called rheopatic, and thixotropic means water plus bentonite clay. Okay, now let's understand first this what is this apparent viscosity. So apparent viscosity is shear stress tau divided by rate of change of shear strength. It looks like viscosity formula only, but see here, if we follow the Newtonian fluid, apparent viscosity will be exactly equals to dynamic viscosity. But if we go for non-Newtonian fluid, this apparent viscosity or this ratio will change with respect to change of shear strain. Okay, then this apparent viscosity will change with respect to change in a rate of shear strain. Okay, if we want to show graphical representation of this, then rheopatic fluid is represented like this, in which rheopatic fluid is the fluid in which with time, as the time increases, the viscosity decreases, and in rheopatic fluid, as the time increases, the fluid becomes more viscous. Now that's all for your today's session. I want you to write it down, all the concepts I taught you here in this session, in your notebook. And I want to make one more instruction, that please give your attendance on the YouTube channel or Google Classroom with your roll number only. Do not add your name with your comment. Please do not add your name with your comments. Thank you so much.